The transfer portal in college football continues to hit, and boy, it is hammering some teams worse than others. You had today SMU's coach, Rhett Lashley, as they're getting ready for a trip to Penn State, going to State College to play the Nittany Lions in the first round of the playoffs. And he said that they have several players that are getting ready for a playoff game and being contacted to go and transfer to other places. Lashley said, I feel so awful for our kids and kids around the country. There's no other sport at all that has free agency in the season. It's sad. It's terrible. You hear the story about the backup quarterback saying, I don't have a choice. That's wrong. That's unacceptable. That's not okay. He shouldn't have to make that decision. And he's right. And the backup that he's talking about is Bo Perbula at Penn State, which we talked about yesterday. Like, they are in a playoff run right now, and he had to go and do it. He had to enter the portal because opportunities are going to go away if he doesn't, because there's not going to be any teams. He wants to go to a desirable location for him to thrive and play football and also get paid. But there's other teams that are getting hit particularly hard, and Alabama is one of them. That miss in the college football playoff, it may be more detrimental than we even initially thought, because Kalen DeBoer's squad, there were a lot of guys that came back because they got Kalen DeBoer from Washington. Nick Saban was still tangentially a part of, the Alabama athletics program as an advisor. There were guys that wanted to stick around. They have now 22 players have entered the portal.
That seems like a lot.
That is a ton. 4 of them are defensive linemen. And you already have one that has committed to Colorado in Jaheim Otis. And then you have Damon Payne, who entered the portal. Those are big players that you're going to be missing. 4 defensive linemen, and they've had 5 wide receivers enter the portal too. And there's growing concern, apparently, that Ryan Williams, the phenom freshman, is going to be entering the portal as well at Alabama. And so all of this, they got the number 2, they got the number 2 recruiting class in the country. Things were looking on the up and up. Things were going to be okay with Kalen DeBoer taking over for Nick Saban. Here are the guys that have entered the portal. Former 5-star running back Justice Hayes. Former 5-star corner Jalen Mbapwe. 4-star defensive lineman Jaheim Otis. Former 4-star quarterback Dylan Longring. Former 4-star receiver Kendrick Law. Former 4-star receiver Caleb Odom. Former 4-star offensive tackle Miles McVay. Here's a lot of guys leaving this Alabama program right now. And look, the hard part is you don't know which ones are being de-recruited by their own staff.
Sure.
And which ones are just bailing because they don't like the direction that the ship is heading in.
Which is kind of funny when you consider the way the ship is heading is if they'd not screwed up one game would have been the college football playoff.
But the losses to Vandy, getting routed by Oklahoma, like those are big losses. And now that loss against Oklahoma, it looms even larger, right? Because you're going, what the heck is going on there? Where were guys already trying to jockey for their position out of town, and kind of you lose that locker room, and which is not anything that has ever been associated with Kalen DeBoer before, right? Like, he is a damn fine coach.
Yeah.
We saw it.
Yes.
At Washington. We saw it at Fresno State. Yeah. He knows how to coach, but it's always like, the Dan Lanning quote, grass is pretty damn green in Eugene. Sometimes you go somewhere else, and we've seen this with college coaches time and time again, where you go to a new place and the same formula doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of, like, leaving Alabama for Colorado?
Yeah, like that's where Otis went, is to Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's... I don't know how you can see how the grass is greener other than if you're talking about, like, the literal grass. Like, what about Colorado? Like, the 2 best players on that team are gone.
Yeah.
Like, how is going to Colorado going to help you? Like, what is the thing that, unless you're from the region, like, unless you weren't getting playing time, like, I don't know why you leave Alabama to go to Colorado. That is a weird choice.
That grass is green in Colorado too.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah, man.
That's what I was. You're picking up what I was putting down.
Yeah, man.
Look, I mean the grass in Alabama, I would call it dirty.
Well, I would say this though about you talk about cultural shift from what Alabama was built on, why those guys had committed there. That was still the culture of Nick Saban, which was defensive minded, defensive oriented, NFL developmental. And that's not to say that Kalen DeBoer did not develop guys to the NFL, because look at how many of those guys did. But where were their high draft picks at? They were on the offensive side of the football. And so you have guys like Otis, who he goes to Colorado, who's the defensive line coach at the University of Colorado. Warren Sapp, right?
Which, whether he's a good coach or not, don't know.
Connection is
yes.
huge. And I think we're seeing that across the landscape of college football, because there's one thing in the college football playoff that is really standing out.